Hello there, it is Mike Matthews, the host of the longest running self-produced daily podcast on planet Earth by a guy named Mike. It is Mike's Daily Podcast, and saying the word podcast, it means that I need to say something about podcasting, and that you've probably heard a podcast. In fact, you're listening to one now, so there you go, you have heard one. But iHeartMedia and Qatar, actually the Government Communications Office of Qatar, have formed a partnership to develop the podcast industry in the Middle East and North Africa. They aim to make Qatar a global podcast hub. Now, I've never been to Qatar. I've heard some interesting things about it, like you got to stay inside because it's so darn hot. They got some amazing buildings there, some amazing architecture. There's the really, really, really rich and the really, 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 really poor. The deal includes building a top-class podcast studio in Qatar, creating, that's going to be interesting. Is that going to be 50,000 stories tall, this Qatar studio? Creating original shows and introducing popular global podcasts to Arabic-speaking audiences. They also will conduct master classes for local talent and host international events, and aiming to make Qatar a central hub for global podcasting. iHeartMedia, as you know, or maybe you don't, own a bunch of radio stations throughout the country, one of the biggest radio conglomerates, and they are big on podcasting. You can hear this show actually on the iHeart Radio app, and there are many people that actually, there are some radio stations that they own that feature podcasters, feature some of the podcasts that they own and help develop. So, wow, they're really big in making this podcast thing happen. Dan Bongino, who's known as a podcaster, actually, he is more the right-wing radio host that replaced Rush Limbaugh when he passed. He is a former New York police officer. He's been selected by President Trump as the new deputy FBI director. He has no experience in the agency, but he has expressed strong views on how it should be managed. He's a right-wing talk show host. Trump has hired some other right-wing talk show hosts, also Sebastian Gorka. He worked for Trump in his first administration. He is going to be part of his administration now. In fact, he had to leave the radio airwaves because of that. Bongino plans to make a major change, such as removing anyone he believes is overly political and shifting investigations away from domestic extremism. And meanwhile, to replace him, there are those that want Charlie Kirk, who's currently working for Salem Media, to be the next Rush Limbaugh, as it were, the heir apparent to the radio right-wing talk show host throne that Rush occupied for all those decades. You know, years ago, I was dating a lady living in Solvang, California, who I don't know if she listens to the podcast, but I think she's caught one or two in the past. But her parents were huge Rush Limbaugh fans when nobody even knew who he was. This is way, way, way back in the 80s. And they actually got to go on a cruise with him, and they had pictures taken with Rush. And I said to the girl I was dating at the time, who the heck is Rush Limbaugh? And she's like, oh, you don't know. He's like the biggest thing on talk radio. I'm like, what's talk radio? And back then, talk radio was just starting to emerge on AM radio, because up until that point, AM radio was used a lot for music. And to suddenly now have this whole talk radio format take over, well, it did take over, and it took over to such an extent. You turn on AM radio nowadays, all you hear is talk radio. One or two music stations, but usually those types of formats are very niche. and maybe they've had a long history in a particular area, and there are people that still listen because it's a heritage station, as they call it. Well, this is a Heritage Cafe Anyway. This show's been going on a long time. It's episode 3021, and you know what? We haven't even gotten this show started yet, so let's go into Cafe Anyway. Let me open the door for you. Cafe Anyway.
It's Mike's Daily Podcast.
Mike's Daily Podcast. It's Mike's Daily Podcast. Where did I go? Where was I? I wasn't at the beginning. It's Mike Matthews and like Charlie Sheen. I am winning. I am bringing you a show where I kind of sing at the beginning of it. Oh, it's something that's odd. And remember, if you don't have anything, Mike's Daily Podcast, you still got nothing. Hey, you know what? I have not Mike's a single fan. Daily. Well, I thought I did. Podcast. They reached out to me. Yeah. They're like, hey, I like your show. I listen to you on Apple. And then I looked them up, and they were actually a bot that was promoting a podcast promoting service. That's the story of my life, everybody. It's not really a story, and it's not really really someone's life, but it sums up things in a nice, particular way that's peculiar. There was, oh gosh. So did I mention it's 3021-3021? And if you'd like to see the video of this podcast, it is found over there on Facebook. I have a Facebook page. There's a link at mikesdailypodcast.com. And I do this when I do the show because, so many people that do a podcast, it's so annoying. They go, thanks for watching. And I go, no. If it's a listening podcast, they're listening to it. If they're listening through their phones, through, they got the little earplugs in or whatever, and they're jogging, they're listening, they're not watching. But somehow my rants, my complaints, my pleas are heard by no one. Well, the podcast picture today is going to be at the one, from the trip last week.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Yes, it was over there in the state of Texas near Dallas, and we were not that close to it. I mean, I couldn't walk to Dallas, but yeah, we were definitely closer to there than to Oakland than to Oklahoma City or Oakland for that matter. And there'll be a picture from that. Mike'sDailyPodcast.com. The late great Basil the Boxer never went to, he went to Oakland, but he never went to Texas. But he kind of likes the music. Wait, is that how that goes? Oklahoma, is that Blood, Sweat, and Tears? Three Dog Night? Guess Who? To those same people that confuse Billy Joel with Neil Diamond, I get those three bands confused. Or the people that confuse Peter Gabriel and Steve Winwood. Or Phil Collins. No. Stop that. They're all different. But yes, there's a little bit of that. Okay, but you can't confuse Gene Hackman with anyone. So sad, the news that came out about, and still, as of this recording, it's still a mystery as to what happened. It sounds like to the first...
This show is clean.
And we'll keep it clean and not go into the details, but there might have been some suicidal factor to all of this. So you maybe, when you're listening to this, maybe you've heard news that's more updated than what I have at the moment, but here you go. There's a song that the great singer-songwriter Robin Hitchcock wrote about Gene Hackman years and years ago, that someone who is a huge Robin Hitchcock fan reminded me. And this guy I know, he loves Robin Hitchcock so much, he's actually gone to many of his shows and has actually met him a couple of times. And
Woo!
Yes, Robin actually knows him by first name, on a first name basis. So this song's called Don't Talk to Me About Gene Hackman. I have a warm bath. I'll have a bottle of wine. I'll put myself to bed and I'll feel just fine. But don't talk to me about Gene Hackman. He's got an evil grin. He's got curly hair. And every time he smiles, it means trouble somewhere. So don't talk to me about Gene Hackman. He's in every film, sometimes wearing a towel. And if it isn't him...
Mike is on it, man.
Go where no man has gone before.
We love it, Mike.
You get Andy McDowell. I don't understand that lyric. Andy McDowell, isn't that the actress that started out as a model and now her daughter, green card. Now her daughter is an actress. Andy McDowell. I think a better lyric would have been Roddy McDowell, but I guess this was after Roddy had passed away, so probably didn't want to bring him up. Or you've got Malcolm McDowell, who's still alive, who I met once in the town of Ojai in Ventura, California.
This is Mike's podcast picnic.
And thank you here at the picnic that I brought some sliced pieces of pita bread that I brought back from Texas. Because my lovely lady friend and I, we went to Tupps Brewery, which I posted a podcast picture of, which you can see at mikesdailypodcast.com in a recent podcast picture. And we ordered the fried pickles and the hummus and pita bread. Because that's what you order when you travel all the way to Texas. You have hummus and pita bread. I work in Fremont, California. We practically live.
I got through that. I got into it.
On hummus and pita bread. What am I doing eating hummus and pita bread in Texas? Made no sense. But it's pretty good. We didn't eat all the pita bread, so I took some of it with me on the plane, thinking I'd be hungry. But I wasn't, because I got up at 4 a.m. and my stomach doesn't wake up like the whole day if I wake up that early. My stomach is asleep going, what did you do to me? Anyway, Café Anyway. In Unforgiven, he was totally mean, talking about Gene Hackman again. But when he got his, I really felt for Gene. So
when you are a man, sometimes you wear stretchy pants.
That was not from Unforgiven. So don't talk to me about Gene Hackman. I'll have a cold shower. I'll have a bottle of pop. I'll get a dog named Laszlo from a Laszlo shop. But don't talk to me about GeneHackman, Gene Hackman. Outside of Café Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth in the land of Ameritopica, it is Café Anyway, Mike Matthews. The thing I really... Café Anyway, exactly. What I really, really enjoyed about Gene Hackman, it was his character, even though you could say, in some respects, he always played the same character on screen. He was a very devoted actor. He gave it his all when he was on screen. And there was no... any character he inhabited, he made it, he elevated it to some amazing level. And I've never seen Hoosiers, which did he get nominated for an Oscar for that? Something like that. Anyway, Café Anyway, he was amazing in that. The one where he's being shot at and he's shooting people, and the day of the something, or I forget. But he just gave it his all, and that says a lot to all of us in life. I remember he showed up on some radio show, some national radio show, probably maybe 20 years ago, and he seemed like he did not want to be there. It was not my radio show, but he was only on it because he was promoting a friend's project. He was really into submarines or something to do with the military and war, and he was part of he was promoting this person's book. I think it was a book or a documentary about it. And he did some voiceover stuff. I can't remember off the top of my head, but anything he did, it was genuine. But I won't talk to you about Gene Hackman, even though I just did. Okay.
You will travel into the incredible universe.
This incredible universe called Café Anyway with Mike Matthews, where I'm still fighting the sinus infection. It was almost gone. And then I made the mistake of spraying some kind of saline solution, one of those sprays up my nose, and it made everything 10 times worse. So I should have just left it. Terrible. Okay. Disney's earnings. Let's see. Their revenue increased at the end of last year. I'm not sure what the most recent Disney.
Well, I have a microphone.
Uh-oh.
And you don't.
So you will listen to every word I have to say.
That is basically every Trump news conference. Hey, you got to give it to him. At least he does news conferences. Okay. So I don't think we have the recent Disney earnings. The last one, it beat estimates with the help of Moana 2. And revenue increased to almost $25 billion. So Trump has done...
Like they got an area where you can get specialty burgers. They got an area where you can get chicken. They got an area where you can get all this food. And you've never seen anything like it in your life.
At Café Anyway? Yeah, there's so much you can get here. Trump does a lot. For all the amount of press conferences he's done, like that many he's done in the past couple of weeks, Biden did in maybe a couple of months. It took him a long time to get out there and actually do press conferences. And I think politicians in general, from what I've seen, shy away from press conferences. Gavin Newsom seems to do a lot. I remember during COVID, he was doing one just about every day. That Moana 2 really helped Disney earlier this year. They had a 1% drop of streamer subscriber losses on Disney Plus. And I have checked out Disney Plus. I am not a fan. There was nothing on there. And I guess some people really love the Star Wars stuff. I don't. Some people really love the Marvel stuff. I used to. I don't. I love the Doctor Who stuff, but I'm like not going to buy Disney Plus just to watch it. Plus, you cannot find it anywhere. My friend's Disney Plus I was checking out when I was in Texas visiting. They bury the Doctor Who stuff way at the bottom. It's impossible to find. And Doctor Who has a lot of flying saucers. That's true. So I don't know. Maybe there's something you really love about Disney Plus. I'm not a big fan. Oh, the cartoons, the animated features, full length, whatever they call them, to productions. Once in a while, I'm in the mood for it. But so the total paid Disney Plus subscriptions stand at 124.6 million. The slowdown in streaming subscriber growth follows a almost 5% increase in prices for its services last year. Their theme parks were hurt by the combination of Milton and Helene, the hurricanes.
It's like a Walmart-sized convenience store and gas
Disneyland
pumps.
is?
Wow.
There's probably 150 gas pumps at Buc-ee's.
Whoa.
Oh, Buc-ee's.
They're monstrous. They're monstrous.
Monstrous.
You go in. They're massive. They're world famous.
Wow. And I didn't get it to go to a single Buc-ee's. I was basically near Buc-ee's, but still it would have been a drive to go there. And I just thought, okay, once I get there, what am I going to do? Just get gas? Am I going to eat brisket? No, because I'm full on other things. Plus, everybody that I was around was, you can't eat any meat, Mike. Well, but I'm in Texas. No, you can't, because you'll have...
I mean, people get stuck on stupid. You know what I mean?
People get stuck on stupid, and they eat too much red meat, and then they die of peripheral artery disease or heart attacks or something. So, no, you're only going to eat healthy things while you're in Texas. And I said, doesn't that defeat the purpose? I live in California where we got healthier stuff, but there's a lot of overweight people in California. Not that I'm one of the ones that's in the best shape, but theme parks in the U.S. have recently experienced a slowdown in foot traffic following the post-COVID surge. In sports, Disney's ESPN reported revenue growth of 8% year over year, reaching $4.81 billion. People love that ESPN. It never seems to die. It always, I don't know. There's a brand loyalty, is what I'm saying. Look who's here outside of Café Anyway, somewhere in Podcaster Valley. Hi, Mike. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How you doing?
That's a Disgruntled Fiddle Player. Tell you what.
What?
Y'all got to get you into a Buc-ee's and eat some of the great food they got in there and then buy some of the stuff they sell. It's great. It's authentic.
Authentic trash?
Now, don't you say that. Don't you open your mouth when you talk to me.
Okay. Look who else is here.
Hello, Mike. I make delicious root beer. Have some in there. Oh, boy.
I seem to recall this happening last show. Okay. Wow. That's some good root beer right there. What's in the root beer?
I put some root beer in the root beer today. Drink it right now. I'll cut you. Oh, boy.
All right. Don't cut me. Everybody, let's all remain uncut. Hey, this has been a wonderful show. We've learned a lot. And I'm going to end it before Rocky the Cat. Oh, he jumped on camera. So now you get to see him if you go to the Facebook page, which you can get to through the link at mikesdailypodcast.com. Oh, quickly.
MTV News.
What?
You hear it first.
There is an odd connection between MTV and podcasting, did you know? Because of Adam Curry? Yeah, it's Adam Curry, who was one of the VJs. He actually did the first podcast in 2004. And it was a horribly named podcast called the Daily Subscription Code, Daily Something Code. I don't know, some computery techie thing. Daily Code, but I'm missing a word. Anyway, Café Anyway. What do you think about all these things that we talked about? Here is the phone number of which you can dial and call me and leave a message.
Call Mike at the Café Anyway hotline. Area code 510-228-4640.
Daily source code. Daily source code. How on earth? How did that? Maybe that was a thing in 2004. Wow. People really didn't care too much about podcast names. I know Mike's Daily Podcast, not the most inventive, but hey, it's daily, it's a podcast, and my name's Mike. And to find out all things having to do with Mike's Daily Podcast, we go to the mainframe and hear from A-Frame. Thank you so much for listening.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!